Hello, I'm Hazel Soan. If this medium is so perfect, why is watercolour so challenging? Why is it that the adrenaline pumps when faced with the white paper? I think that watercolour is scary because it moves on the paper, so you're not always certain what the outcome's going to be. If you had a better idea of what might happen, you'd have more confidence. So the aim of this film is to help you gain confidence in this remarkable medium, to enable you to exploit the properties of watercolour to the full. Transparency is watercolour's most beguiling asset. There are dozens of jewel-like colours to choose from, each with different levels of transparency. Let's use the vibrant colour of the crocus to explore transparency back in the studio. All watercolours are transparent when diluted with water, but some are transparent even in their most concentrated form. Let's use the crocus to paint some lovely deep pinks and violets. We'll start with the pink so we can catch the pink at the side of the crocus, and then we'll introduce the violet. And both these colours, Permanent Rose and Windsor Violet, are transparent colours, and you can see even in the dense concentrated mix the colour is transparent. Dilute it right down for the pale colour before the leaves, and then we'll use a transparent yellow aureolin, and we'll run in a transparent Prussian blue to make our green. Do you see all these colours, even when they're quite dark, are transparent? But we don't just have transparent colours in our palette, we also have opaque colours, and it's often these that cause confusion and create muddy colours. Let's look at those lovely yellow crocuses. We'll paint them first with transparent yellow, and then we'll paint them with opaque yellow so that we can see the different properties of these colours. This is aureolin, transparent yellow. So we're using it as a pale undercolour before we use the warm crocus yellow colour on top. That's almost just wetting the paper, really, isn't it? Now we're using Indian yellow, which is a much warmer but transparent yellow. Now obviously yellow can't get too dark, even its most intense form, and I'm going in here now, look, I'm taking it where it's dry, so it's really intense. This is as dark as I can get this yellow, but it remains radiant and transparent because it is a transparent colour. Look, that is as dark as that yellow can be. If I want to make this crocus any stronger, I've got to pick another colour, like some of this Permanent Rose, to bring in a stronger colour. Now let's look at opaque yellows. Cadmium yellow is an opaque yellow, and it's in probably most people's palettes. Let's squeeze it out there. It comes in pale, deep, and plain cadmium yellow in the middle. Now, even as I mix it, you'll see it's creamier. Can you see that that is more opaque? It's thicker. And we need just a pale version of it first of all. We'll do this. You can clearly see on the paper. It's covering. It's not so transparent as a transparent colour. You see how it has huge covering power. So it's a much stronger colour. If I wanted to strengthen up the yellow in this crocus, I can't, can I? Because already it has covering power. Its opacity is already in there. If I want to darken the colour of the crocus, I've got to introduce definitely much more colour. And look how much more we have to put in than we did to tint the transparent colour, because opaque colours are brilliant. They are brighter, stronger colour. Because yellow's a light colour, even Indian yellow and aureolin become opaque in their most dense form. But there are even more transparent yellows. This is quinacridone yellow. Now that looks like an orange, doesn't it? But you see this pale on here. Look how pale that is. And there is transparent yellow. Look at that. Now how dark is that? And yet let's see that in its dilute form. Look at that. Look how pale that is. But because they're truly transparent, we can increase the density of their colour in building, in painting the tones of the crocus. Now they're not quite the right hue for the crocus, I agree, because the crocus is these two bright yellows here, but it just shows you that you've got in the range of yellows a whole range from highly transparent to opaque, and it's how you use them that enables you to make bright, transparent watercolour. And we can mix these yellows with a blue for the green of the leaves, But we don't want to use the opaque yellow for that because we'll end up with too solid a colour, and we want the radiance of watercolour. So this is the transparent yellow and Prussian blue, just to give us the leaves of the crocus. I hope you can see on the screen that this is actually more radiant colour, and this is more brilliant colour. This is the opaque, this is the transparent. You can find out if your watercolour is transparent or opaque simply by rinsing off a little bit of the pigment in the water. Here you can see the transparent pigment has tinted the water yellow. Here you can see the opaque pigment has clouded it. Because transparent colours are fully transparent, they can be overlaid and maintain their transparency. So we can build the petals on top of this crocus by subsequent layers of tints of colour. The gum arabic has held the pigment in place, so it can't move, and so we can build in layers of pigment. So you make many more colours by literally overlaying the colours underneath, many more tones. And so we can make very subtle changes of tone, very subtle changes of hue, and keep the radiance of the painting. And these can be very light, they can be very delicate, or they can be very bold. All the time, because the colour is transparent, we cannot kill off this vibrancy, this radiance. Even however dark we go, it will maintain its transparency. So you might say, well, why do we need the opaques? But look at that little yellow stamen in the middle. Because we have opaque colours, we have covering power. So let's take this cadmium yellow and let's mix it with a little bit of cadmium red, another opaque colour, and we can obliterate the colour behind because this is opaque. And the beauty of that is that it means you don't have to worry about leaving out some of the tiny highlights and things in your paintings. You can add them in afterwards with opaque colours. And we even have an opaque white, titanium white, that we can restore highlights. So in other words, you don't have to worry about tiny details in your painting, because if you forget them, miss them out, overpaint them by mistake, you have opaque colours that can cover colour underneath. But opaques are not just for covering power. They provide brilliance. Colours like cadmium yellow, cadmium orange, cadmium red, cobalt blue, they are like punch colours. You can't overlay them too many times. Just drop them into the colour and let them spread, and they will give you vibrant colour. Compare the brightness of the jockey silks. Compare with this painting where the jockey silks are painted with transparent colour, and you can see the punch that opaque colours have.